Hello, everybody, and welcome to a Kaladesh Remastered Draft here on the channel. We're going to be diving in, going pick by pick, play by play, talking through all of our decisions. Ho, another content creator in the chat. We're passing to Gomlet. Maybe they're recording and you'll be able to see it from their perspective. That would be interesting. Okay, so pack one, pick one. One of the things about Kaladesh Remastered is it's kind of got, an artifact theme, and there's also like an energy, which is a extra resource that you can generate and spend on other things. And overall, just a lot of cool cards. It was the first set that had vehicles, or Kaladesh was. Kaladesh Remastered is like a combination of Kaladesh and Aether Revolt. Cultivator's Caravan, a pretty solid starting card just because you can do multicolored stuff using things like Cultivator's Caravan, Prophetic Prism. So this card's pretty good. Fairgrounds Warden is also quite a nice card. In the commons, I think that Prophetic Prism is probably among the better commons here. Thriving Turtle's pretty solid. It's just an early drop that fuels energy synergies. And then I think Fairgrounds Warden is also a nice card. I think the pick is mainly between the Caravan and the Fairgrounds Warden. I'm going to take the Caravan because I like that it goes into any color combination. And I think it's just a pretty reasonable card overall. Okay, pack one, pick two. I will say that Renegade Map is the sort of card that can do some pretty good work fixing your mana and also fueling artifact synergies. I think the best card in this pack is Rogue Refiner. The rare is missing, so we don't get a huge signal point here. But Rogue Refiner is just a very good card. If I do want to play some sort of energy deck, you oftentimes will be splashing different colors, so Rogue Refiner is more flexible than it looks. It also fits with kind of the splashy theme that I have already going on, and maybe I'll be able to do some like multicolor stuff. Weaponcraft Enthusiast is also a pretty nice card in certain decks. You can just go wide with artifact synergies and the servo tokens, so making 3 bodies for 1 card can be pretty good. So if I had maybe gone a different direction to start, maybe Weaponcraft Enthusiast would be interesting, but I'm just going to take the most powerful card, which is the Rogue Refiner. Moving on to pick 3. We already have a Cultivator's Caravan and then a Rogue Refiner, which kind of incentivizes multicolor. There's an Aeronaut Admiral, which gives vehicles flying, which can be nice with things like Cultivator's Caravan. It can crew the Cultivator's Caravan, and then you hit them for 5 with a flyer. However, I already have a blue-green card that's pretty good, and so if I can, I would like to maybe stay somewhat flexible to playing a multicolor good stuff deck, because I kind of have a good start to that, considering my first 2 picks. I think that Prophetic Prism is a nice option. It gives me a cheap artifact for any artifact synergies. It fixes my mana, and it replaces itself, so that's pretty nice. Sweatworks Brawler is a pretty nice card for aggressive red decks, and there's Wild Wanderer, which is pretty nice as well for fixing purposes. I'm just going to take the Prism here. I like the fact that it's just an early play I can use to help me cast things like Rogue Refiner on turn 3, even if I'm playing a 3-color deck. So this is going to be my pick here. I could see Thriving Turtle being the pick as well for more energy synergies, but we're going to start like this. And now I think I'll take the Pima Ether Seer. This is just a pretty nice like energy payoff card, and just a nice one overall. Riparian Tiger is also pretty good. I wouldn't really fault someone necessarily for taking this. Revolutionary Rebuff, not a very good card because sometimes they'll just jam an artifact, like an artifact creature, and then you just can't counter it. The other cards in this pack, it's pretty much mostly between the Ether Seer and the Riparian Tiger. But I think this card will be more easy to get later because it's like a 5-drop, which is more replaceable. And this is a 4-drop that can sometimes be just like a really annoying card to have to deal with. So I'm going to take the Pima Ether Seer. And at the minimum, it's getting you 3 energy because it counts its own power. So keep that in mind. Okay, Pima Outrider is a great card. There's also Prophetic Prism. Again, I like Prophetic Prism. I already have one though, and so I think I'm just going to take the Pima Outrider, get myself a great 4-drop. This being a 4-mana 4/4 trample is pretty good, or a 4-mana 3/3 plus a 1/1 really helps you if you're falling behind in the early turns, and so I'm going to take that. Prophetic Prism is nice. Maybe I could take that and just really lean into the multicolor stuff, the multicolor angle, so that could be a fun thing to try. I think that Pima Outrider gives me like a nice solid base in green, and then I can like riff off of that almost with my other color. But I could definitely see Prophetic Prism being a nice pick just so I could then play kind of anything. I think that could be kind of fun. Let's try it. I will say that I think that the other card there was definitely a strong consideration. But now I have 3 cards that can kind of give me any color, 2 Prisms and a Caravan. And now I'm going to get the Druid of the Cowl. So I'm kind of going to go base green, and then I can probably splash pretty much anything that I want. because I already have 3 sources that can tap for any color. So a Druid of the Cal helps ramp me, so and also is a nice defensive 2-drop. So I think we're in good shape here. We've got a lot of flexibility going into packs 2 and 3. Here, I think this is a reasonable 2-drop, but I'm going to take the Live Fast. It's a nice energy card, and also I can probably splash it pretty easily if I wanted to go that direction. Okay, Spire Patrol. Pretty nice card as well. If I'm trying to play blue-green base and then just splash other stuff, this card could fit in nicely there. The Wingsmith, not a great card. The Propeller Pioneer is pretty reasonable. We're just going to take the Spire Patrol. Now that we have kind of a nice little setup, we're just going to take the most powerful cards. I think we're going to try to go blue-green base. We have the Rogue Refiner. We've been seeing blue cards. I think Thriving Turtle fits perfectly into this deck. Unbridled Growth isn't as good at fixing because it kind of puts you down a card and needs you to have green to start with, whereas Prophetic Prism, even if you don't have green to start with, you'll have it after you play the Prism. So I like the Thriving Turtle pickup here. We can play blue-green, and then we can see what we can maybe splash. Red is oftentimes a great splash because it has some good energy payoffs. Ether Theorist is a great way to get you some energy early. Blue is feeling open to me. Nimble Innovator is a nice one. Narnam Cobra can be good too. I mean, I meant to... Nimble Innovator is not really a nice one. Sorry, I misspoke there. This card is a little bit too slow. 4 mana 2 draw card is just not as good as it looks. Ether Theorist is a good one, and Narnam Cobra is pretty solid. Sorry for that. This card's not a card you should really prioritize. We've been passing the red and white cards for the most part. I don't feel like I've seen any great block. I mean, I saw Daring Demolition relatively late, which could be a signal point. But I feel like blue and green are pretty open, given the stuff we've been wheeling. I like another Thriving Turtle here over the Wild Wanderer. The reason for this is that Wild Wanderer, while it does fix my mana, is a more expensive card. And Thriving Turtle, I can play it on turn 1 and then feel relatively secure playing one of my Prophetic Prisms on turn 2 while I'm fixing my mana and getting set up. And I think that's just a nice little play pattern to have the access to. Here, I'm going to take the blue card, even though it's bad, over the Bastion Mastodon, I think. I'm just going to take the Bastion Mastodon, because that card's actually playable, and the blue one really isn't. Ether Tradewinds, I'll take this. It's a nice synergy piece with Prophetic Prism and the Thriving Turtles to just fuel my energy, so it's actually a pretty playable card. Shipwreck Moray, another energy card. If I can get some energy payoffs, I'll be in great shape. So this is where I get to reap the rewards of my early Prophetic Prisms and Caravan picks. I can take a Cloud Blazer here. This card is very good. It gives you immediate value, and it's really hard to, it's value that's really hard to answer. And it works well with my Ether Tradewinds. Ether Storm Rock is another card that's nice. Gets you a lot of energy. And just stuff like that. But being a double-colored card makes it a lot harder to splash. Like with Prophetic Prism, I can be like, oh, I have one Prophetic Prism in play. I can play my Cloud Blazer, I mean. But if with Ether Storm Rock, I need to have way more going on. If this wasn't in the pack, I think I would probably be taking a Tune with Ether or Bomat Bazaar Barge, which isn't the craziest card, but also just a nice bit of value. I probably would just take the Attune with Ether, though. I really like this card. Again, kind of fulfills the Prophetic Prism role as well. And yeah, I have a decent number of 3-powered creatures that could crew this barge, which is a nice little place to be. But Cloud Blazer is pretty much the perfect card. The exact reason that I've wanted to be so flexible with stuff early on is for cards like Cloud Blazer. So I've got good fixing to enable that. Wow. Metallurgic Summonings, great card. Long Tusk Cub is also fantastic. Let's see. Cast an instant or sorcery. Yeah, this is a really good card in certain decks. Long Tusk Cub is actually just straight up excellent in my deck that I already have. So instants and sorcerers, I only have one of each. So we're not going to take the Metallurgic Summonings. Long Tusk Cub is a card that can snowball out of control really easily if you can make it a 3/3 early. And we already have 2 Thriving Turtles, an Ether Theorist, and a Rogue Refiner that we could potentially play on turn 3 to just complement the Long Tusk Cub perfectly. This is one of the better Long Tusk Cub decks I have. It just has so much. I have already got 4 cards that in the early turns can just help this thing attack and snowball the game. Because if it fuels itself, so you hit them, get 2 energy, put a counter on it, hit them to get 2 energy. It's just a really, really good card in that respect. And it really, especially if you go Thriving Turtle into Long Tusk Cub, it's really hard to defeat. So if this wasn't in the pack, I would probably take Pima Outrider. I will say Appetite for the Unnatural playing 1 copy main deck is playable. So I wouldn't mind doing that. Right now, it doesn't look like I'm going to need to live fast. Baral, Chief of Compliance. It is a rare. But it's not particularly good in my deck because I don't have any instants and sorceries, as we already established. I only have 2. Serve Exhibition, reasonable in some decks, not a card that I really want to splash. Skyship Plunderer is a pretty nice one, though. So this is a card that works well with +1/+1 counters and energy. So if you generate an energy early in the game, you can get an extra energy every time this hits the opponent. So if I play Thriving Turtle into this guy, I'll start generating energy. If I put counters on my creatures, I'll start generating counters. So yeah, it's a pretty nice card in that respect. I was just double checking if it did everything or just the things you cared about. Druid of the Cowl and Kujar Seed Sculptor are also fine 2-drops, but I think Skyship Plunderer is just a little bit better because it can help me in slightly more ways. Okay, another interesting pack here. Armorcraft Judge is nice if you have some +1/+1 counter synergies. Currently, we don't really have that. We have Long Tusk Cub that can get counters, and that is it. And I guess Thriving Turtles. So Skyship Plunderer also can like start growing my Thriving Turtles, which is also nice. Wispweaver Angel is a really good card. It works great with especially things like Spire, with like Cloud Blazer and like Rogue Refiner type cards. So we're going to consider that. But I think I'm just going to take the Pima Outrider. 4-mana card that just kind of does a good job. And also, you don't really want to splash cards that are more than one color. Like more than 1 pip. So splashing a double white card is a lot harder than splashing a single white card, as we already kind of established. Now I'm going to take Attune with Ether over the Skyship Plunderer, I think. It just gives me a whole nother angle of attack. So currently, if I was just to build this deck, I would have 3 white sources to play my Cloud Blazer. But now, if I put a single Plains in my deck, I have not only the Plains, I have the Attune with Ether to get it, and then I have the 3 cards. So now I'd have 5 white sources, which is a huge difference. It adds basically, it's just an extra white source in my deck. Skyship Plunderer is nice, but I think Attune with Ether is perfect. It also plays really well with the Long Tusk Cub I have, with the Thriving Turtles, I can grow those. I already have a Skyship Plunderer, just fixes my mana and kind of does everything I need to do, and I can run it instead of a land, so I'm basically replacing a land with a card that's like significantly better than a land. Okay, I'm going to take another Ether Theorist here. There is some thought to like splashing Die Young as like a removal spell, but I have generally got better ways to spend my energy than as a removal spell. I think that I can usually spend my energy using it on like a Long Tusk Cub or on a Thriving Turtle attack, or maybe I'll find something in pack 3. Hopefully I'll find something in pack 3, maybe even a red card in pack 3 that I can splash. But Ether Theorist really does a good job in the early turns. There is a Gearseeker Serpent, which is a card that can be pretty tough to deal with if you have enough artifacts. I don't really have a ton of artifacts right now. I have 4, and I don't really have cards to generate. Sometimes you can get Ether Swooper, which is a 2-mana 1/2 that's kind of like got similar stuff to Thriving Turtle, but when it attacks, you get a Servo if you pay 2 energy. We're just going to take another Thriving Turtle. Really help myself in the early turns. Okay. My deck does lack a little bit of removal, so Universal Solvent could be tempting. I think I'm just going to take the Gearseeker Serpent, though, because I could still end up with some artifact synergies, and casting this for a little bit cheaper can definitely be powerful. And we wield a Druid of the Cowl. So we have a very good early setup here. I think that our deck is really going to be in good shape. We're going to be able to run fewer lands than you would expect, which makes this just really nice. Dukara Peafowl, it's also kind of an annoying card. 4-mana 2/4, kind of pseudo-flying. Pretty irritating to deal with sometimes. And we got back a Pima Outrider. That's really nice. That shouldn't really be happening, I don't think. And we got back a Kujar Seed Sculptor, which plays well with the Skyship Plunderer. Malfunction, sure, we might consider playing that. It's like kind of a removal spell. Appetite for the Unnatural, as we said, we'll play 1 copy of that. We don't need the Serpent. Having to pass a late last pick Serpent is kind of brutal, though. Okay. Ice Over is just not a very good card. Not something we're super excited about. Okay, so here, Free Jam Regent is the sort of card where it's like, again, double colored makes it much harder to splash, like significantly harder, and so we're not going to be taking this card, but it is a pretty good card. Like, just massive flyer. Fabrication Module, however, is absolutely amazing in our deck. We have so many cards that generate incidental energy, and we have cards that can let us spend extra energy, and being able to put counters on our creatures every time we play like a Thriving Turtle or an Attune with Ether or an Ether Theorist or really any of these cards is just absolutely fantastic. So we'll take the Fabrication Module. Another card that I would really like in this deck is Thriving Rhino. This card's excellent. Another great way to spend the energy. It just slowly grows out of control. It generates energy. Just a great card overall, but Fabrication Module is pretty much exactly what we want in this deck. Okay. Now here, Gonti's a great card, but again, we're trying not to splash double-colored cards. Windkin Raiders, also a nice flyer, but we don't really need that. Servant of the Conduit is tempting, especially because we've been wheeling Pima Outriders. And so Pima Outrider might wheel. There's also Ether Trade Winds in this pack, which might wheel as well, which again, just good synergy with things like our Seed Sculptor or our Turtles, or really a lot of our cards have pretty decent synergy with that. We currently have 1, 2, 3 sources of any color, and then also if we wanted to play planes to play our white cards, that's also fine. Serpent of the Conduit is another way to help us splash. Okay, Ridge Scale Tusker is actually like the best uncommon in the entire set. This card is almost unbeatable if you play it and have like 2 or 3 creatures in play, and so getting one pick 3, really a good sign for our deck. It plays great with like Ether Trade Winds. There's Prophetic Prism, but obviously taking Ridge Scale Tusker here, this card is absolutely staggeringly good. And it looks like we might not have to do too ambitious of splashing. We might only have to splash Cloud Blazer, which is nice. And our deck is definitely looking really good right now. Okay. There's another Thriving Turtle. There's also Renegade Map. Huh. Renegade Map is a card that is fine to replace a land when your deck has artifact synergies that will care about the map. I think when your deck doesn't have artifact synergies, it's not really worth playing as much, and so we'll just take another Thriving Turtle here. That's been my experience with the card. If you have some stuff that cares about artifacts, this card can be really nice. But our deck doesn't have anything other than the Gear Seeker Serpent, which we might not even be playing. Okay, there's a Skyship Plunderer again. There's also Windkin Raiders, but I think this card, again, just has way more synergy stuff going on with our deck. And we'd rather just lean towards cheaper cards. Icespire Artisan, another Thriving Turtle. Quicksmith Genius. I think we'll just take a 5th Thriving Turtle. Now we'll take Windkin Raiders, I guess. Theorist. So we got the tools to splash, and then most of the cards that we could have splashed, we saw double pipped cards instead. I mean, this card is a good card. It's relatively easy to splash it. Malfunction's not great. We have 32 playables here, which is kind of a crazy number. Like, we have a lot of playables. Shipwreck Moray is not the best card. It's just worse than my other 4-drops here. Gear Seeker Serpent's also not great. It being a 6-mana 5/6 is pretty reasonable, though, and I have a decent number of artifacts. I don't need the Kujar Seed Sculptor. I already have pretty much all my 2-drops generating energy. Ether Trade Winds coming back is nice because it gives me some good synergy pieces. I have a lot of good cards to bounce with it. Maybe I don't want 2 of them, but I guess we'll see. Another Windkin Raiders. Windkin Raiders is just not very like crazy good in my deck. I might just take another Ether Trade Winds or another Gear Seeker Serpent. I think Ether Trade Winds plays really well with my Thriving Turtles. I'm kind of interested to see how it would do if I just played a few of them. I guess 4 is a lot, but we can maybe see. As I'm like building this deck, I have to say, I'm not sure if Druid of the Cow really fits. I don't really have sustained ways to like use a ton of mana. Windkin Raiders just coming all over the place. I mean, Ether Trade Winds is kind of cute with the Thriving Turtle. You just bounce your turtle, bounce their guy. But it's not that much value, so I'm not going to play 4, that's for sure. I might just play 2. Or maybe even only 1. I have 34 playable, so I have a lot of flexibility in how I build my deck. How many 2-drops do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 2-drops. I don't need 9 2-drops. I really just don't. I think I'm going to cut the Windkin Raiders. I think I'm going to cut the Druid of the Cowls because I don't really need the extra mana. I'm going to cut down to 1 plains. How's my colors looking? Yep. Way more blue than green. So, yeah. We'll keep that in mind. But because we have E-Tune with Ether, we kind of want to have 8 green sources. I'm not really feeling like I'm missing out on any of these cards. I think my Thriving Turtle plan, probably not as necessary. I think I'm going to go down to 1 or 2 of those. I don't know if it's worth splashing the Spire Patrol, but it does feel like a pretty good card, tempo-wise. Gear Seeker Serpent also might not be necessary. I do have Prophetic Prisms and a few artifacts to help get this down a little bit earlier. But if it costs 6 mana, it's really not that worth it. I think I can run fewer lands because I have Attune with Either. So I can run 1 fewer land, I think, because my deck is so cheap. But maybe I'll be able to find ways to use the mana anyway. And then I run 2 Thriving Turtles, maybe. I think this is going to be the deck. Yep, feels pretty good to me. Some good stuff going on, some nice top end, a lot of creatures, some interaction, and overall, we'll have to see how it does. I might have to run 1 fewer land and add in an extra spell, but for now we're going to run it like this, and I'll see you folks in the games.
If you enjoy my videos and want to support it, you can do so at patreon.com/NicolaiBolas. Now is a great time to join because all patrons gain access to my Dominaria United tier list, where I grade every card in the set on an A through F scale. Patreon is easy to set up. It can be canceled at any time if your situation changes, and it is very transparent so you know exactly what you are getting with your monthly pledge. I really appreciate everyone who helps me continue to make content, and without further ado, let's get to the games.
Welcome to round number 1. This is a pretty great hand, I would say, because we have the Long Tusk Cub on the play. And that can really just snowball out of control. It's one of our primary win cons. If we can't currently play the Thriving Turtle, but if we draw any land, we'll be able to play the Prophetic Prism into Thriving Turtle, which should enable a Long Tusk Cub attack. Okay, Hope of Girapur. So here we're going to play Prism. And we did not hit our land. A little bit unfortunate, but we do have our... Yeah, so there's a, like, Welding Sparks deals 3 damage for 3 mana. A little bit unfortunate here that we missed our land. We have a decent number of cards that this could have done well with. Yep, Welding Sparks. We could not have done anything about that anyway. I'm just going to play the Fabrication module. Give myself a way to make this Skyship Plunderer into a 3/2. And that will let it attack past Hope of Girapur and continually generate me counters and energy. They're not putting any pressure on me right now, and so I don't need to worry about that. And then I can play Pima Outrider as a way to... Oh, they are putting some pressure on me now. Okay. Okay, I see you. Okay, play the Skyship Plunderer. And play the Thriving Turtle. And now, I'm going to put the counter on the Thriving Turtle, because I think I'm going to trade off the Skyship Plunderer here. And the other thing about this is this being a 1/4 means that if they have a 1/1 servo that gets +2/+0, my Thriving Turtle can still block it. Okay. Interesting. So I'm going to probably just take the hit from this, and then I'll either trade wins it away at some point here. Yeah. I can afford to take a hit for 3. And if I either trade wins it, then they might not be able to get the counter on it again. Okay, Poisoner. Certainly a card that I would like to have a Pima Outrider at the ready. So, I'm going to play Pima Outrider, make a 1/1. The 1/1 can trade with the Ether Poisoner. The 3/3 plus the 1/4 can trade with that guy, maybe. I hit them, put a counter on my Thriving Turtle. I don't really need the energy. Actually, I can generate an energy and then put a counter anywhere I want. And I can put the counter on this guy. So now I have a good block on the Sweatworks Brawler. So now I have easy block, double block on Sweatworks Brawler, so they can't attack with Sweatworks Brawler, really. Okay, perfect. Perfecto. Another Sweatworks Brawler, sure. Ether Chaser, sure. They're all out of cards, though. Greatest power among creatures I control. So that would be Pima Outrider. And then I can attack and force them to block next turn and then use my trade wins. I think right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the Theorist. And I'm going to put a counter onto the Theorist. So we have another good block set up. And then I'm going to play the Servant of the Conduit. And I'm going to put a counter onto the Skyship Plunderer. And then I have a good block on their Night Market Aeronaut. And I feel like I've got good blocks across the board now. And then I can maybe use Pima Aetherseer to grow my Pima Outrider, get a bunch of energy. And then I can use my Ether Trade Winds to good effect. So this even triggers first, and then I'll get 5 energy. Oh no, I get the energy when that enters. Okay. And I can start scrying, which is nice. Should I spend that energy to get this 1/4 into play? And it would mean tapping this. Probably. No attacks. And I'll just start scrying with this guy because I have 15 energy. And not a great way to spend it. Oh. Yeah, we'll keep that on top. That is pretty good. Make both of those block. You have to double block. Care more about the flyer. That helps me reduce some of the pressure because they no longer have a flyer. And they concede. Ridge Scale Tusker, very good. I had so much energy. I'm glad I have the Ether Seer to help me spend some of the energy because I didn't really get great energy spending tools. I just have a lot of energy generation, but that's a good one to spend energy. Anyway, see you next game. Welcome to game 2. This is a very interesting opening hand. I have 2 Thriving Turtles to buy me time in the early turns until I can find my mana. I don't really have anything super powerful to do once I do find it, but mulliganing is inherently quite bad in Limited. It just lowers your win rate a decent amount. That being said, I don't really have anything going on here. I think I'm going to keep this hand, though. It's the most borderline keepable hand I can think of, though. If I was on the play, I would not keep this. But I think the Thriving Turtles can buy me a decent amount of time, especially because I'll probably be able to get an attack in. Okay, and then playing a Thriving Turtle makes me much happier with this keep, because it means they're probably not going to be able to punish me super hard in the early turns. I am going to play this, even though I have just drawn a Fabrication module. Just because I want to make sure I'm spending my mana. I will save the point of damage. Sure. I will spend the mana to make a 1/4. But I'm not going to play the Thriving Turtle because they're not really pressuring me, and the Fabrication module gets a count, lets me put a free counter on something when I play my Thriving Turtle. Oh, thank goodness. Thank you, buddy. each player scrying one is really good for me right now. Ether Trade Winds. Huh. It is pretty reasonable for me because I can use my Thriving Turtle. I'm just going to put it on the bottom, though. I think I just would rather draw a land. It's like an action spell. But I can go like Fabrication Module, then Thriving Turtle, and then Ether Trade Wind something back. There we go. Especially because I need 2 forests before I can do that. Okay. So this thing's going to hit me for a little bit. Yeah, that is scary. Yep. Them putting a counter on it is not the end of the world. Because I will be able to grow this again. Oh, that's perfect. Excellent. So Skyship Plunderer will eventually be able to block that. First order of business is to play this. Generate 2 energy, put a counter on the Thriving Turtle. Next, play the Skyship Plunderer, which will start being able to generate me energy, which then generates me counters. No attacks. I have 2/5 to block there, an 0/3 to block there. And then I'll take 2 from the flyer. So we have somewhat stabilized the board here. I can play Ether Seer, put a counter on the Plunderer to attack past Skyskiff if they leave it back. Or attack into it and trade. Hunt the Week. That is bad. Okay, I'm probably going to lose after they do that. Hunt the Week was a great card for them to have there. That's the way it goes sometimes, though. Okay, so put the counter on this guy. Trade with the Sky Skiff. This game is pretty much unwinnable after that Hunt the Week. It was a devastating Hunt the Week, let's be honest. I can't get past this 5/5 without having the double green, so I think the game is as good as over. Unfortunate, but that is the nature of the reality. I think, yeah, if I had double green, I would have Ridge Scale Tusker as another potential out. But I do not. Ouch. Pain. Yeah. I'm glad I didn't chump block last turn because now I actually have the out of if they crew this, I can chump block, double block. Ah! And self-assembler, the classic. So I can go to 1 here. Chump block the barge, double block this guy. Maybe be left with something reasonable. I mean, I don't think I can win, but I might have some outs here. I can scry. And if I have a forest on top, I can play both these. Give myself some options. Big old draw. Nothing going. No help at all. I mean, Fabrication Module, as you can see, is absolutely crazy. If I had the ability, if I had gotten a Whirler Virtuoso, which is the best red card to splash, that would have been really good, because it gives you just a great way to spend your energy. I don't really have those, as I was saying. Yeah. I'm just going to concede. I do not have the outs. I needed to maybe put the counter slightly differently so I could have a 4-3 here. So I could trade with a self-assembler and then chump block this thing. But I don't have really any outs without having a second green mana in play to, like, play my Ridge Scale Tusker or whatever. Anyway, I'll see you next game. Welcome to game 3. This is definitely a keepable hand. A Thriving Turtle would go a long way. But I have both my main colors. I've got a Ridge Scale Tusker, a couple of flyers that will be really good with the counters, so I can't really be too disappointed with this one. That is going to be great. Perfect draw there. Thriving Turtle lets me start generating extra energy with my Skyship Plunderer. And also block the Sage of Shalai's Claim. And be another creature for my Ridge Scale Tusker. With Pima Outrider, even though putting counters on it with the Skyship Plunderer is tempting, I think I'm just going to generate the extra 1/1. They probably have a kill spell that they can use on my Plunderer. They do not. Okay. So I have a good blocker there. Ridge Scale, I mean, because going wide with this means I get an extra 2/2 instead of just an extra counter on my card. It's already relatively big. So this should be a pretty straightforward victory if they don't do anything crazy here, like a board sweeper. There are some cards that would really punish me right now. Like, there are cards that deal 1 damage to 2 different creatures. Chandra's Pyrohelix, I believe it is called. 1 and a red for an instant that does 2 damage divided as you choose. And that would be really bad for me here. But even then, probably still recoverable because of the power of the Ridge Scale Tusker. The Pangolin Beast. If they have a Ridge Scale Tusker of their own, it's a little bit tricky. Colorless Servo. There was some temptation, though, to putting the counter on, just so I can then make this into a 5/5. I mean, a 6/6 immediately. Maybe it's greedy not to make this into a 6/6 immediately. It exposes myself to Hunt the Weak for no real reason. And I can't use the energy anyway. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to play my Ridge Scale Tusker. And then when these things hit them, I'm going to put counters onto my... Pima Outrider and my Thriving Turtle, so I have a lot of 5 toughness creatures. I will say that if I had done this differently and I didn't have this 2/2 right now and this thing was massive, I would be able to probably win this coming turn. So maybe I did mess up. And I also exposed myself to Hunt the Weak for no real reason. So I will say that in retrospect, the Pima Outrider play was incorrect. Because if instead of them just playing Self-Assembler this turn, they had Hunt the Weak, and all of a sudden they kill my Pima Outrider, I put myself in a much more vulnerable position where I could potentially lose the game here, or I wouldn't have like a big creature here. I would have just like nothing there. Their guy would be bigger, and I would be just in a much worse spot or an unsafe spot. Whereas now I'm pretty stable. I've got 3 big blockers, and that's kind of good. The extra 2/2 is not really having a huge impact on the game, but if this thing was a 7/7 right now, that would be a bigger impact. So I made the play with knowledge of the Ridge Scale Tusker, which I think is a fine play in a vacuum. But given the way the game developed, I probably should have shifted my game plan instead of staying too rigid towards it. But anyway, it's not like a game-losing error. It's like a this might have been a slight improvement type of line, which is the sort of thing you should be thinking about if you're trying to get a little bit better, is like, what's not necessarily, oh, this was a good play, but like, what is the perfect play that I could have made here? Okay, so now here's what we're going to do. We're going to play land. We're going to attack all. So this is 3/6, so that makes this thing a lethal attacker. How are they going to block if I attack all? I attack all. This has trample. They double block. I unnatural appetite one of them, I win. This thing becomes a 3/6. This thing's lethal. All my ground creatures are lethal. They all have to be blocked. Yeah. And I will definitely pay the 2 energy because I might as well. And I have a natural appetite to gain me 2 life. So they can't even kill me on the crackback. It is 4, 8, 9, 12, 14. But I have 2 extra life in the bag. And they have to block some stuff. And I have these flyers, so they have to block everything that's on the ground. Perfect. This is exactly... I knew they would double block that thing. And then the unnatural appetite kills their guy. And I trample over for the win. Got there. Let's go. I wasn't really at risk of dying because I would be killing some stuff on blocks anyway. But yeah, pretty good stuff. I guess I also, when I was distributing my counters, I had a lot of options that game. I could have also put the counters onto my Skyship Plunderer so that I was threatening lethal in the air the following turn. Another interesting option. Anyway, see you next round as the siren goes off in the background. Welcome to round 4. We are going to be seeing our Spire Patrol for the first time. Our first time seeing our little splash in action. Thriving Turtle. Great little start to the game. Setting things up for the future. It's like a 1-mana 1/4 that also has other options available to it, which is pretty nice. Like, if you run too many of these, you kind of might struggle, but... Okay, I am going to spend the energy to make this a 1/4 so it can actually deal with the Audacious Infiltrator. The Audacity. I think I could run 1 fewer land in this deck. That is my theory. My Ether Theorists do give me some scrying, which is a good way to kind of counteract that, though. So that can be good. Let's see what they play here. There are some kind of scary things white-green can do. Okay, so they're going to exile a creature. They exile the 2/2 that can ramp me. Okay. Interesting. White-green is not really the artifact color, so Appetite for the Unnatural, getting back my guy, could be the best thing I have available to me. However, I'm just going to play the Prophetic Prism. I don't need the guy back right now. Luckily, the Prism lets me play a tune with Ether, and I'm going to get my planes, just in case I lose my Splash. I have all my colors anyway. I might as well start throwing my guy. I can take another 3. I have now have a 2/5. I am okay in the race because my Appetite will gain me 2 life. And Spire Patrol is pretty good in a tempo-y race situation. Long Tusk Cub, sure. Hitty Trail Hawk, sure, as well. I'm just going to make a 3/6. Why not? I mean, I guess I don't really want to take that much damage, but I'm going to play Spire Patrol, tapping the Long Tusk Cub. So we're at even life total. I have a better board state generally, I would say. The Hitty Trail Hawk can give their Long Tusk Cub flying if I'm not careful, so I still think I'll take the hit from the Infiltrator. Countless Gears Renegade. Nice. That is a great draw. Cloud Blazer is always a good draw when you can cast it. And now the question becomes, do I wait? Because if Longtusk Cub attacks me with the Edit Trailhawk, I can block it with Cloud Blazer, or I can block it with Spire Patrol. So this thing, I'm just going to wait. I have another Thriving Turtle that I can play as a defender. I have a bunch of cards to cast. They only have 2 cards. I'm going to have 6 cards in my hand next turn. Prophetic Prism's a redraw. Thriving Turtle does some stuff. I can be patient here. Okay, perfect. So, first things first, we're going to play the Prism. See what we are working with. That is good. That is actually very good. The only card I'm really concerned about here is the Longtusk Cub. If I play the Ether Seer, it gets 3 energy. I'm just going to start by playing Thriving Turtle. Then I could attack with this, put a counter on it. And that makes it a better card with the Ether Seer. I think I am going to do that. Because they don't really have a crazy good block here. It's got 7 toughness, so they'd have to block with everything, pretty much. In which case, I could kill Longtusk Cub and Audacious Infiltrator, which are the only 2 cards I really care about here. Okay, so we're going to put Longtusk Cub first, because we really want to kill that, and then we'll put this thing second. They don't have to spend the energy. That's pretty fine for me. Because now I can start attacking with my flyers. I'm going to kill the Thopter Arrest to give myself 2 more energy and my 2/2 back. And some life. And I can start hitting them for 5 a turn. Oh, yes. I'm glad I was patient with my appetite. If only they had taken Cloud Blazer. Boom. Got the win. Yeah, I think that was pretty good. I was very happy with how I played that. I think my deck does have slight risk of flooding if I don't draw Cloud Blazer there. Because I have some like low impact cards and stuff like that, and like Prophetic Prisms that just replace themselves. So maybe I'll have to think about adding extra land or cutting a land. But regardless, see you next game. Welcome to round 5, I believe. We shall keep this. We actually have a very nice aggressive start here with the Thriving Turtle beatdown plan. Because the way Skyship Plunderer works, we just need to make sure we do not have triggers auto-stacked. Let's go to gameplay. Do not auto-order triggered abilities. Yes, okay. I don't think it really matters anyway. Okay. So, what we shall do here? Play Plunderer. Attack. Put a counter. And now we'll just continue growing this over time. Okay, so they're playing an Artifact Synergy deck, it looks like. So we shall play the Theorist. Attack with both. Pay the 2 energy. And then we're just going to put a counter onto the Thriving Turtle directly. Because if we gave ourselves an energy, this would be a 2/5, and then we would have to pay the 2 energy. So we save ourselves an energy by just putting the counter directly onto it. We have Cloud Blazer, Ether Trade, Wind Synergy for if we find that. Okay, now I can start scrying, I think. It is a massive creature now. It's a 5/8 on turn 4. Oh my gosh, that is huge. Okay, well, Ether Trade Winds shall demolish them. Don't want that. Nice draw. I'm going to be more patient, though. I'm not going to greed for it. I'm just going to give myself an energy. Target permanent. Wait a second. Wait, whoa. Target permanent I control. Yes, okay. And because I haven't played a land this turn, I can then play the prison. Which I think is worth more than having an Ether Theorist that I can't play, because this means I can play Cloud Blazer next turn if I draw a land. So, very happy with that. Whew. Trophy Mage, sure. That can get more Caterpillar bugs. Okay. I will pay the last 2 energy to force them to jump that, I guess. Huge. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that Ether Trade Winds play. Bouncing my own land is definitely something you should be aware of as an option. My opponent will make me discard. I will discard Long Tusk Cub. This thing can get me a lot of energy. This thing can get me a lot of energy. My first time drawing Rogue Refiner, that's funny. Okay, we are going to get a forest. Play it. Play the Pima Etherseer. Gain a ridiculous amount of energy. So normally they'd be able to go up to 7, and we only have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. However, we can use this to force them. Oh, no, we can't. Dang it. I thought that was going to work differently. I thought we were able to use that to force them to block the guy that I wanted them to block, but that's not how it works. That is not how it works. All I can do is make them block. Let's just keep growing the turtle, because it's fun. Okay, if they have a board sweeper, I can start to rebuild with my Rogue Refiner. Okay, they do not have a board sweeper. I don't even know if there is a board sweeper in this set. I don't remember all of the board sweepers. I think it would be in white if there wasn't. Yeah, Fumigate is in this set. But it's a white card, so. Got the win. Pretty crazy stuff. The world's largest thriving turtle, 912. Let's go. See you folks next round. Welcome to another round. We have a nice keepable hand here. A little bit of ramp in the caravan. / fixing. The Tune with Ether can get us our planes. I will say that a early card, one of our like 7 or so 2-drops or a Thriving Turtle to just make sure the early turns go smoothly would be nice. Because currently we are vulnerable to aggression and we don't have the best Ridge skill. Only like 3 counters, which is still insane. One thing you can do is if you have like Caravan in play, you can play Ridge Scale, crew in response to the trigger. And then That works, I think. And then you get the counter on the caravan by crewing. You can also just crew with something else if you wanted to attack with it. Okay, opponent is roping on their first turn. The Greenbelt Rampager. As I was saying, aggression would not be good for me, but that is the perfect draw. Yikes. If they have another forest, oh, thank goodness, get wrecked. Because then they just get a 3-4 on turn 2, which is kind of tough. Servant to the Conduit, yep. I know the feeling. Okay, this will be nice. I can really start to ramp hard here. I can play Cultivator's Caravan into the Ether Theorist because this doesn't really care, and then I'm just getting huge amounts of value for my Ridge Scale Tusker down the line. Yep, there you go, buddy. Definitely not blocking if they attack. So I'm taking 3 from this, but I do have a blocker for this guy and a blocker for this guy. Okay. So, I think, even though I know they have a combat trick here, it's worth doing this block. Because it prevents them from using their Servant to play a 4-drop this turn. And also, it gets the combat trick out of their hand so they can't use it to deal with one of my bigger guys. Okay, I'm confused. Okay, so they were just sacrificing their 2-1 to get a Revolt trigger. That's interesting. Okay. So they could have killed my Servant, but they instead killed my 1-3. Which I guess makes some sense. Here we are definitely just going to play our Pima Outrider with a 3-3. In this case, we don't have to worry about taking a hit from the Green Pelt Rampager either. Because we can just use the Caravan. I don't think we're going to play the Prophetic Prism right now. Because, again, we don't want to just take 3 damage here, and we have some time. Death Touch is relatively annoying. Our deck doesn't have a ton of interaction. We just have to use our creatures, because we have a lot of really good creatures. Would I trade a 3-3 for this? The thing is, I'm going to be able to hit them for a lot more damage this coming turn. Okay, my turn. Here we go. Draw. Enter full control mode. Play a land. Cast this guy. Resolve. Trigger goes on the stack. Crew. Crew with that guy. Resolve. Resolve. This thing can hit me for 6, but I can chump it or do something. Oh, and I'm not attacking with some of my smaller guys anyway. I can just attack like this. I don't really want to trade my Pima Outrider for this thing, so I think I'll just attack them for 6. This also could have been a classic case of getting too fancy, because I could have also just crewed with these 2 small guys and had a 5-5 untapped, which is a better blocker in this situation. Especially for this Scrapper champion. Which you really don't want to have get out of control. Oh, thank goodness that worked. Holy heck. Scrapper champion is terrifying. Okay. So we can trade with the Lifecrafters Cavalry with our Cultivator's Caravan. So there's a +3/+3 trick in this set. But I still think this is the block, and I go to 8. I could also just trade with the Lifecrafters Cavalry. And do like this. This is the obvious block, though. I sometimes like to throw in some wrenches so they aren't sure what's going on. I'm going to block like this. This way I threaten to eat 2 of their creatures, so if they have a trick, they're going to lose a creature regardless. And it gives me a 2-for-1. Okay, perfect. Nice draw. So what I can do here, hit them for 2, put a counter on that thing, play this thing. I could have also put the counter onto the Caravan. That was just if they had +2/+2 or something. Oh gosh, that's annoying. That's annoying. I think I screwed this up. I'm going to scry. I'm going to put a stop on my upkeep to scry there too. Yep, that'll do. So they can make a guy. I attack with everything. And now I have a couple of lethal threats. Nice, Rogue Refiner. Boom. Complete domination. Every card that I drew off the Cloud Blazer got deployed. Oh, that was a satisfying victory. I think if I had put the counter onto my Cultivator's Caravan to make it a 7/7, that might have been better. Because that way they couldn't have traded with their Life Crafters thing, and then I'm just pressuring them, and it's going really well for me. So yeah, I think that was a slight mistake. It's always interesting, because there's always those slight decisions, points that can make a big difference, but we ended up getting the win anyway. See you folks next round. Welcome to another round here. We have a great hand. Ridge Scale Tusker, our 2 pieces of interaction, also here. Ah, the Ruinous Gremlin! I see, I see. I understand now. I'm going to get the plains. I could get a second forest in case I drew a Pima Outrider, but I think this will be better. Just because I have roughly even numbers, and I'm more likely to draw the forest than I am to draw the plains. It's like I have 2 Pima Outriders and 2 white cards. So in theory, I could draw one of them and get punished, but... Okay. Happy to trade my 1/3 for their 3/1. Even though at some point my guy's going to be a 2/4. It's just nice to get the exchange done. Okay, well, if you're going to do that, then I will force you to have your combat trick here. Okay. Well. That was probably the worst case scenario, but I'd rather they have the 2/2 Gremlin than the 4/2 this guy. Okay, that's bad. Actually, that's not that bad. Because of my appetite for the unnatural, that's actually okay. Okay, max wrecked. We can scry to help us find our land, though. If they do some crewing shenanigans... The Crusher. Scry me a river. Yes, perfect. The forest that we needed. I'll make the servo. Even though it gives Ruinous Gremlin a target, because it's just so much better with the Ridge Scale Tusker to have more bodies. Okay. I'll send in the goons for one. I can play the Ridge Scale Tusker next turn, which I will do if I have the ability. I'll also trade these off because they're going to trade off regardless. But I won't trade these off because they aren't regardless going to trade off. Sometimes you just have to play your Ridge Scale to make 2 counters on your guys. It's a functional 5 mana 7/7. Oh, that's not great. Okay. See, now I'm tempted to make this trade. I'm going to do it. So it doesn't let me play the Ridge Scale Tusker next turn, but it doesn't let them put a counter on their guy to make him a scarier threat. So now I think I can actually do some work against the Foundry Screecher. I don't think they can kill me with it this turn. They'll hit me for 2, and I have my Ether Trade Winds to bounce it. Oh, this is beautiful. Perfection. Yes! This is where you gotta know when to turn the corner. You're like, well, I was being attacked a lot. I was under pressure from this Foundry Screecher. But now my 2/1 is a 3/2 that's going to be a 4/3, so it's way more valuable than this creature. So I'm not going to hold it back to try and trade. I'm going to attack them, put them under pressure. I'll go down to 5, sure. But then I have trade winds to like bounce this, which was my strategy at the time. And I keep hitting them. Then this thing grows to the point where this thing can never trade with it. And then I have a either rock wall blocker or I can just finish the job. So that's kind of the logic that I was operating under there. And I think we are 6-1, so we might only have 1 round to go. See you there. Welcome to what is in all likelihood the final round, because I have a incredible hand here. I've got Turtle into Plunderer into Fabrication Module, so not only will I be generating the energy, but I'll still be getting the counters. It does mean that I probably won't want to use the Thriving Turtle this turn, though. Yeah, that's fine. Red-white. Some aggro action, maybe. The Eddy Trail Hawk. Not my favorite moment, but we shall be fine here. So now that I'm getting energy from that, I can attack. Put a counter. They get a free block, though. But I'm in good shape still. The Eddy Trail Hawk was a bit of a damper in my plans, I must admit. Okay, well, fast monitor. Slightly scary. We'll see what's up with this Prophetic Prism. Put the counter on the Plunderer. Attack. Get an extra energy. Put the counter onto the second Thriving Turtle, so that if they do want to attack, they're going to have to attack the Eddy Trailhawk as well. I hope they don't kill my Plunderer. Well, that is slightly inconvenient, shall we say. Okay, I will admit it. I was slightly, I was optimistic about my chances this game. But I'll run them out of energy, and I will still have this in play, so we are going to pass. So now they're going to attack, hit me for 4 again, and then they'll be out of energy. I spoke too soon. They're never going to run out of energy. We're in deep trouble. Oh yeah, we're totally dead. I was so optimistic. I went from so optimistic to so not optimistic so quickly. Oh dear. They're giving both flying. Well, they are out of energy now. I am in bad shape. If I draw my unnatural or whatever it's called, I might still be able to recover. Probably not, though. Put it on that guy. I think I'll need the extra blocker because they have menace stuff. Appetite for the unnatural is my only out, maybe. Yep, okay. I was overconfident there. My overconfidence was punished by the Eddy Trailhawk. But that will not happen again, hopefully. We have one more shot to get maximum wins. I'll see you there. Welcome to another round. I'm fairly certain I just played against Funky Disco Rhino. Fairly certain. And I'm on the draw. That is not ideal. That is not ideal. Please don't hit me with the Eddy Trailhawk again. I don't know if I can recover psychologically. Yes. Maybe I've played Funky Disco Rhino 2 rounds ago. I'm not sure. I wasn't keeping track of the usernames, but I definitely recognize Funky Disco Rhino. Next round, it's Cultivator Caravan time. I'm going to make my 2/5 because that'll be good at blocking the gremlins in the future. It is the same guy as last round, probably. This is my chance for vengeance. Oh, please don't kill my caravan. Oh, that would be so bad for me. Oh, that would just decimate me. Oh, thank goodness. Okay, whew. Okay, so we are actually in great shape here. Watch and learn, folks. Oh my gosh, we're going to win. As long as I hit a land. I did not hit a land. No! Oh, that was so painful. Okay. Okay. Auto pay. Sure. Trigger goes on the stack. True. With that guy. Resolve. Resolve this. Gain 5 energy. I can remove full control now. So this thing will be a 3/6. I can force the salivating gremlins to block it. Oh, it would have been so nice if I could have had my 5/5, because then I could have taken out both their guys. But then I would have lost my 5/5, I guess, so okay. I'm going to force this guy to block it. Hopefully that works. I'm not sure which one's more valuable. I think the 3/1 flyer is more scary because I don't have as much interaction for flyers. But I do have 3 flyers in my hand. So there is that. Okay. Sure. I will scry to look for a land. We do not hit the land, so we have to put that on the bottom. Yes! The Rogue Refiner. Draw me a land. Come on, man. Yes! Definitely attacking. Hopefully they trade. The more trades they make, the better my Spire Patrol is going to be here. Okay, there's the Hawk. It's not as good when I'm at 20, though. I'm just going to do this play. No, Hitting them for 5 is so tempting, but I'm going to be patient. Gonna do this. And then I will offer this trade. I'll trade my Skyship guy for their Eddy Trailhawk. And I'll scry. Yep, okay. Now next turn I can play Prophetic Prism into Spire Patrol and Bash. Or into Pima Outrider. This is one of the reasons why I was okay playing the extra lands, is because I can scry them away with my Ether Theorists to some degree. Okay, that's good. And I can even return this to my hand with Ether Trade Winds, which is nice value. Okay, I'm going to play this guy as a 4/4. Crew. Hit with everyone. Yeah, maybe I didn't need to hit with that guy. Somewhat unnecessary. But I didn't really feel the need to tap anything. Boom! We got the win. Vengeance is mine. Vengeance is a dish best served cold. Let's go. We got to maximum wins. Feels great. Hopefully you found this video helpful. If you made it all the way to the end of the video, leave hashtag Kaladesh is back and better than ever to let me know you made it all the way to the end of the video. Or if you don't want to type that all that stuff, leave hashtag got there to let me know you made it all the way to the end. Or hashtag massive turtle to let me know you made it all the way to the end, because we got the biggest thriving turtle of all time. So that's probably the best hashtag to leave if you made it all the way to the end of the video. Hashtag massive turtle in the comment section down below if you want me to know that you watched the whole thing. Hit the thumbs up button, subscribe for more. There's a ton of cool stuff in the description. down below. I hope you enjoyed this video, though. Good luck in your own Kaladesh Remastered drafts, and I'll talk to you next time.